Gonzalo, thank you for joining us this week. Originally, the program was to be conducted by Giordano Bellincampi, who splits his time between Auckland, New Zealand, and Copenhagen, Denmark. And unfortunately, as is an issue with many people these days during the pandemic, there are visa difficulties in terms of acquisition, scheduling, all of that. So we look forward to having him in sometime in the future, but are so thrilled that you're able to step in and conduct this week's program, which the repertoire has changed a little bit from what Giordano was going to be conducting. But it's three wonderful pieces with a series of interesting connections. Beethoven's Second Symphony, Elgar's Salut and Wagner's Siegfried Idyll. So talk a little bit about some of the connections you found as we adjusted the repertoire a bit.
Well, I think we kept the Siegfried Idyll, right?
Yes, right.
We kept that as a sort of centerpiece to portray this beautiful music as a musical gift to Wagner's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to, pair this music with something else, and we came up with this idea of pairing Elgar's Salut, which was also a musical gift to his own wife.
Right.
So it's very interesting to have this little intermezzo between the Beethoven Symphony and the Wagner as a kind of like opening this musical gift idea, which I think it's just so lovely.
Yeah.
I think music, for all of us, is a gift. But when you think about the music as a gift for someone, and someone very specific, you start wondering what kind of music that would be.
Mm-hmm.
And for both Elgar and the Siegfried Idyll, there's something there. Maybe there's like the E major kind of sunny disposition, early morning, love, fresh. That really puts these two pieces as almost like as a one big centerpiece.
I like that. That's really great. And what a gift it was for Wagner's wife. I mean, it was a complete surprise. They were at their one of their villas, and it was her birthday, apparently on Christmas Day, and Christmas morning she awoke to 13 musicians lining the stairs up to their bedroom, and sort of just outside of the bedroom, playing this piece that he wrote for her, which is really remarkable. And he wrote that in 1860. I'm blanking on the year now.
68?
68, yeah, I think it was late 1860s. And originally for 13 instruments, he later augmented a little bit beyond that to more than one string on a part in order to make it, I think, more marketable to the publisher. But it's interesting, it bears the title of his opera Siegfried, which is the third in the Ring cycle. However, it was written before that opera was finished. That was finished in the early 1870s. And but he extracted some themes from this piece that he wrote for his wife, using the themes in various places, different leitmotifs, different themes in Siegfried, including this stunningly beautiful love duet between Brunhilde and Siegfried in the very final scene of that opera. And and then he sort of retroactively titled it Siegfried Idyll, and originally had some other like long title, a gift to his wife. Yeah.
Talking about the specific villa that they were staying at.
Right, right. So I think that was a really clever pairing. The minute you shared that idea with me, I loved it immediately. So well done. So how do we then connect all of this to Beethoven's Second?
That's a good point. I think that the most remarkable thing about Beethoven's Second Symphony is that it was written in 1802, and that's a very, very important year for Beethoven. That was the year that he completely saw his own future as a deaf person.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote this testament, the Heiligenstadt Testament in 1802, basically saying to his family that he's not going to be the same before, because apparently he's just not hearing anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not hearing the birds, he's not hearing the water stream. And imagine how much you could, I mean, I cannot really imagine myself in that position, like when your music is all you have, and suddenly you have this inner muse that you're not going to be able to hear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is beyond devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, I mean, the genius and why I adore Beethoven's music, and I keep it to myself all the time, is somehow he was able to write this symphony,
Mm-hmm.
which is nothing of any hint of depression,
Of darkness, yeah.
any hint of darkness. Quite the opposite. For me, the second movement of this symphony is one of the most lovely movements ever, ever. And it's so delicate and so sweet that you would think, well, Beethoven, he's in love, or he's just doing something remarkable, or not. He was in complete agony. And there is something very interesting about that, because you, as a human being, you can only understand things when you go through them.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, we all feel in love. We all lose our loves, but going through all of that gives us some kind of nice memories and good lessons that we can actually use in our own lives. And I think that's what Beethoven did his own life and career. So I'm just so excited to be able to pair this musical gift also that Beethoven gives us all mere mortals, this light of hope that it doesn't really matter what you're going through in life. We all are heartbroken in some ways, but at the kernel of everything, there's just so much love. And it's not maybe too different from the love of Wagner and Elgar's. All the musical gifting love, it's present throughout the concert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm also very excited that you had the thought to pair this on the program. In addition to all of that, which I think that is a really beautiful thread that you are describing. But in my experience, this is probably the least frequently performed of his 9 symphonies. And I imagine it's because, while they're all remarkable and very unique, a lot of times people talk about the even number ones, except for the number 6, the pastoral, being somehow diminutive compared to the odds. The first announced that he was going to change everything that Haydn and Mozart had sort of set forth, or at least maybe take up the torch in a new direction. Obviously, the Eroica had many new things to say. The 5th, obviously, 7th with the remarkable slow movement, and of course 9. And I don't see 2 getting programmed as often, but it is remarkable. It may not be as demonstrative in some of its characteristics that some of its brothers and sisters share, but it is a very tightly amazing
I think
work.
it's a very good question, because I would beg to differ. Having studied, having performed, having really been inside Beethoven's 2nd Symphony, there's nothing in that symphony that would be lesser than any of the other symphonies. It's just quite something. And you start wondering why it's not that the symphony is not getting programmed much more often as the other ones. And I think it's just a matter of being familiar with the other ones, because the other ones are great. But once you start to get familiar with the 2nd Symphony, you can see that Beethoven is trying things that perhaps he's using later, but things are so unique to this specific symphony. And I don't want to get too nerdy here, but there's something so fantastic the way he treats in the entire symphony the piano subitos. He does this a lot, but
you mean the sudden
chords, sudden things are quiet.
Right.
But he elaborates this in a very clever way. He never comes back to a quiet moment. He comes back to a softer moment, but elevated. And every time there is a piano subito, he elevates it even more and even more. So it's such an amazing thing to build up a movement, especially like the first and the last movement. He does that all the time. And you can see it in the third symphony and the seventh symphony, but here in the second symphony, there is something so unique, I think related to his own time with himself. Like he's trying so hard as a mere human to keep going and to try to find something even better. No matter what the obstacles, he's really trying to put his own heart on the table for the entire world. And I think that little device is just so distinct of the struggle and of the bliss that he was feeling at that time. So I think the second symphony should be much more performed. But maybe, this is a great opportunity to get even more familiar and try to really, listen to other performances of this symphony.
Right, yeah. Well, and that use of devices on small or larger scale like that served as inspiration for Wagner and other late Romantic composers another generation or two later in using musical devices to evoke a dramatic arc, and that really is, what defined that enormous era that will forever be one of the great eras in music history. So, well, we're very much looking forward to this. Thank you for sharing all of this with us.
My pleasure.
And please join us in Jacoby Symphony Hall Friday or Saturday evening at 7:30. Or we'll also be live streaming the Friday evening concert, and that'll be either on our website or on our YouTube page. You can find instructions on how to access that on our website, jacksymphony.org. Thank you again, Gonzalo, and we'll see you this weekend.
Looking forward to it.